All right. Welcome everyone to this fireside chat where we'll be discussing the role of guilds and YGG's vision in the evolving world of Web3 gaming. I'm very happy to have a special guest and a OG in the gaming industry, Gabby here, CEO and co-founder of Guild Games, better known as YGG.
Hey
So thanks,
Gareth.
Gabby, for coming
Hey
along. Yeah,
everyone.
hey.
Good to be here.
Awesome. So we have around 30 minutes for the session, not that long, but I'd like to cover four key topics. Firstly, a quick intro of yourself and an overview, diving a little bit deeper into like the Web3 gaming community building that you guys are doing uh, beyond token incentives and the future of Web3 gaming. So without further ado, Gabby, for those that might not know you, can you give a brief intro of yourself and YGG?
Yeah, super brief intro. So I come from the Philippines and have been in the game industry for the last 20 years. So I ran my own mobile game studio, got into crypto in 2017 because of Ethereum and smart contracts, discovered NFTs from CryptoKitties and started joining the Axie community in 2018. And in 2020, a lot of people from the Philippines started joining Axie Infinity because Axie had invented the concept of play to earn, meaning that you could play and win a match and then win some tokens, which could then be converted back to ETH and ultimately to fiat. And that became very popular in during the pandemic, where a lot of people were looking for a way to augment their income. And the communities started to organically form into guilds. There were people who had a lot of NFTs but didn't have time to play, and there were a lot of people a lot more people actually, who wanted to play the game and earn tokens but didn't have the NFTs. So guilds became a way of kind of matching people who had the assets with the people who had the time. And we at YGG, we were the ones to kind of saw this and decided to scale it by providing technology, platform, and community so that we can give access to community managers who would then be able to recruit and train players from around the world.
Got it. Okay. And like there's so much that the changes in crypto, it's such a rapidly changing environment. So how has this Web3 gaming landscape evolved since the last cycle, and what role do guilds now
Yeah.
play?
Yeah, so the space has definitely evolved a lot. I think the biggest difference is that there's a lot more quality titles right now. Typically, it takes maybe 2 to 4 years to make a good quality game. And so for the games that started after Axie Infinity's rise in 2021, a lot of these are really only coming to market now. And a lot of games are launching this year. They're launching a token as well, and the role of guilds had always evolved. I think people had kind of really just equated guilds to scholarship programs or these asset lending programs, which is really not true. A lot of people
Mm,
want to socialize and play together and then do things together. And ultimately, this is what guilds facilitate. Even with or without a guild, people like socializing, people like doing activities together, and guilds are a way to facilitate doing this, especially in Web3. So we've been doing that, whether it's having creators on your team, whether it's forming guilds to play a game during a campaign, owning assets together, learning how to play a game, and getting onboarded into Web3. A lot of what we're doing is like we onboard gamers into Web3, we help educate them on the opportunities, and then we match them with the different games and what quests are available.
got it. Yeah, and the beautiful thing is that everything is online and can be done globally, so your reach is far.
Absolutely.
Um, And then there's probably a lot of challenges that you've been facing, especially from the last cycle. How have you been able to navigate through these and achieve YGG's position today?
Yeah, so yeah, there's definitely a lot of challenges. Of course, the market tank and the yield inside games largely disappeared, which means that a lot of players went away. I think a lot of people lost conviction in not only guilds, but Web3 gaming in general at this point. We saw it as
Mm,
an opportunity to kind of build towards the future that we wanted to see. We knew that people would not want to stop playing together. People would not want to stop playing and owning their own assets. So during the bear market, we built a quest and reputation system that can get different people to highlight quests inside of the Web3 games that we're partnered with. So we started partnering with Axie, now we're partnered with Pixels, with Parallel, and a whole host of other games. And now through these questing system, we have a way to kind of highlight these games and then what opportunities are available, and then bring our community over to them.
Okay, that actually brings me to the next question, which is, can you elaborate more about this Guild Advancement Program, aka GAP, or
Yeah.
Super Quests? Like, how have these solutions contributed to the growth of the community?
Yeah, so the Guild Advancement Program and Super Quest are different types of questing programs. So you go to our website, guildguild.io, and then create a profile, and then you're eligible to do quests in these games. The Guild Advancement Program is a community-led questing program. So we actually have community leaders that create the quests in these games. And when you finish the quests in the game, you not only receive rewards, you also receive reputation in the form of soulbound tokens. So soulbound tokens, or SBTs, they're non-transferable NFTs that are a badge, an attestation that you've achieved something. And this is attached to your profile, meaning that the more you go along in finishing quests, you start to build the reputation of, for example, I may be good in esports, I may be good at strategy games or role-playing games. And it differentiates you from other players where other games, for example, that might be interested in an RPG gamer, they might want to give you specific quests and higher rewards because you are the type of player that they want to acquire, right? And in Web2, this is user acquisition. These are ad networks. But we see quests and soulbound tokens as a way to equate user acquisition in Web3. One of the largest problems in Web3 right now is how to distribute rewards, airdrop farming. A lot of people are like doing airdrop farming, and some of them are spinning up bots, duplicates, and you don't know who you're rewarding. And I think reputation is one of the keys to solving this problem.
Fully agree with that. And I actually have a follow-up question later on with regards to this reputation system. But before that, YGG has also organized a lot of community-led tournaments and even regional competitions that have contributed to Web3 esports. So how does Web3 esports differ from traditional esports?
Yeah, so I think that Web3 esports differs from traditional esports in that it finds ways to align incentives across the entire ecosystem between the game, between the players, between the fans. And it was harder to do this in Web2 because the game basically owned everything, right? And so they could change the rules at any time. And we've seen that, for example, there was no clear business model for Web2, which is why a lot of these esports companies that had like high valuations, and then which meant that they were very expensive player salaries, all of that came crumbling down. With Web3, because you have token ownership, you have the ability to align the incentives between the different players in the ecosystem, the teams, the players themselves, the game, and you can all work towards growing those network effects, which makes the ecosystem and therefore the assets, whether they're tokens or NFTs, more valuable. So that's why we do esports. At the end of the day, esports is about people who are very passionately playing the game at the high levels, and then having a fan ecosystem, tournaments that kind of help make the game more popular. So the ethos of esports is very consistent with Web3. You want passionate fans, you want people who are growing the ecosystem. And what Web3 adds is that element of ownership that aligns all of these incentives together.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. I think you mentioned before that guilds in esports are equal player passion and community driving in specific games. So yeah,
That's right.
I love that. Okay, and then how about some maybe insights that you can share into the partnerships that you've been establishing with various games and networks, and how these partnerships have contributed to the advancement of Web3 gaming. For example, it doesn't only have to be gaming, but even blockchain protocols, such as Polygon Labs and Base.
Yeah, sure. So we've worked with blockchain protocols that support the games that our players love. So we've been very close with the Ronin network, for example, which is home to Axie Infinity and other games such as Pixels and Kydro as well. And so we kind of align the incentives on the blockchain side so that we can help bring players, and promote the quality titles in the ecosystem. And that's why at the end of the day, YGG as a network, number one, we don't have our own chain. And number two, we work with many different chains. We don't tie ourselves to one because we want to give the best experiences for our player community for the games they want to play. Meaning that if they want to play a game on Ronin, we give them access to quests on Pixels, for example. They might want to go on base and then play a game like Parallel if they're into TCGs, and we help them do that there as well. So the approach we have is really kind of multi-network, and we start with the players. What are they interested in? What are the opportunities there? Then we match that with the content and then the underlying blockchain networks.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Ronin ecosystem is growing, and I think they're at the forefront of gaming in last cycle and definitely this cycle as well. Okay, so we talk in crypto a lot about tokens and all of that, but I think we need to also start to see beyond these token incentives. So how do you see a shift in reward and incentive schemes within Web3 gaming, and how does like a more creative engagement model prioritize long-term commitment and meaningful contributions rather than these short-term people that want to just make a quick buck?
Yeah. So this is actually probably one of the most important questions in crypto today because tokens are very powerful in that the monetary incentive is enough to people want to do things that they would not normally do. But if it's all about the monetary incentive, if it's all about that token, and then ultimately you don't build retention, you just build like a mercenary user base. So we actually start with putting the token last. We start with bringing a community together long term so that like long term communities are typically like more positive sum and then less transactional. And then we give them something to do. A lot of these DAO communities failed in the last cycle because they were built to just buy an asset and then sell an asset. And then they didn't really have much to do in between, right? And for us, there's naturally something to do in that we're playing games together. So it's very easy to get people together with the action of doing games, playing different quests in games together. And then once you do the quest, you get reputation. This is where soulbound tokens come in. This is where your specialization come in. Am I a content creator? Am I esports? Am I in a particular geographical guild, for example? Am I a guild in a specific game? And then when you reach these, this is only the time that you get the token rewards, which means that yes, of course, the money is important, but we put it at the back. We want to make sure there's a social group you want to be part of. We want to make sure there's goals you want to reach via these quests. We want to make sure you build reputation within the community, and then at the end is when you get your monetary rewards.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And some people might be like, okay, reputation is great. They're familiar with credit scores and all of that, but in crypto, everything is on chain, everything can be tracked. So personal data, personal privacy might be an issue for some people. So how do you build this on-chain achievements without revealing personal data? And maybe you can elaborate more on this initiative that you're doing.
Yeah. Again, very good question. So, first of all, the first principle is that we want players to own their own data, meaning that if there are any achievements or attestations, they live in their wallet, so they choose whether to publish it there or not. Second is that you can reveal data about yourself without choosing to reveal your identity. So you can have attestations saying, "Oh, I finished this quest. I got this reward," but it doesn't say who you are or where you live, right? And then there's also other like attestations where I can connect with something I've done. For example, go to my Steam profile and say I've played 1,000 hours of RPGs and put that on my wallet as an NFT with an attestation without saying what my account is or what country I'm from or revealing my account name. So I think these kind of zero knowledge attestations are also very important because at the end of the day, what you want to learn is more about user behavior, what they've done, what they like. And a lot of the time, who they are, where they live, how old they are isn't really important. And you have to have a really good reason for doing so if you want to ask for that kind of information.
Okay, amazing. And so like the potential use cases, like there's a lot for this on-chain reputation beyond gaming as well. Like how does YGG plan to scale these use cases for the entire gig economy? And like what are the key opportunities and challenges?
Yeah, super interesting question. So we recently started a new vertical within YGG called Future of Work, and Future of Work are all of these opportunities for people to earn crypto that are not in gaming specifically, right? So people are already doing play to airdrop campaigns. They're earning in games, but there's now a lot of things that people can do to earn crypto without playing a game. Of course, there's airdrop farming, which everybody is doing. But now with the rise of things like DeepIn, for example, can I share some of my CPU data? Can I share some of my health data? Can I drive around, take photos? And then things like AI labeling, where can I label some data and earn some crypto? So it gives rise to this kind of super gig economy where people can do tasks and get paid in crypto with things that they're already doing, interacting within guilds, they're going within apps. And I think this is going to be really what the future of work looks like for virtual economies.
That's really cool. And like one interesting fact, and maybe this is for the greater audience, like I think that top 10 countries from this audience, three of them are actually from Africa. So
Wow.
Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, shout out to you guys. I'm actually personally born and raised in Africa myself. So Africa does hold a close place in my heart. I know YGG, you guys expanding globally through these guild models and that. Like, how can people like in other countries like Africa, where you might not have expanded so deeply into, how can they get involved into what you just said? Like, if it's not gaming, this larger future of work.
Yeah, interestingly, there's a lot of similar characteristics between Nigeria, for example, and a lot of Southeast Asian economies like the Philippines. Very young population, kind of very tech-enabled, always online, and really looking to find opportunities to earn anywhere in the world. So where YGG is going is that we are transitioning, like we're not really a guild ourselves, we're more like a guild protocol. So we want to be a permissionless protocol where any guild or player from around the world can come in and look at these opportunities and be able to do them, gain reputation, which allows you to then give better access to quests, right? So for example, once someone knows that you're very good at a shooter game, then other shooter games will want to compete for your time and attention, giving you better rewards. If you're really good at data labeling, then you should get the reputation so that you can get more work and higher offers. Which means that once you gain this reputation in Web3, it shouldn't matter where you are, or you shouldn't get paid based on what country you're from. It really based on what your output is, what kind of work you can do. And I think that's very liberating, especially for a lot of people in emerging markets like Southeast Asia and Africa.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with all of that. Maybe a little bit more of a technical question for the developers listening in. The new standards like ERC 6551, like these are all pushing the boundaries in Web3 gaming development. How are they enabling like a new gaming experience? And maybe you can share some examples of games leveraging ERC 6551 and AI elements.
Yeah, 6551 is super interesting because now it allows NFTs to become a container or have their own wallet wherein they can contain other assets. So think of a container like a backpack as an NFT inside a game, and then it contains other things. It might contain your armor, it can contain your food. So it brings new kind of gameplay elements where you can own an NFT, and then an NFT can contain other tokens or NFTs inside, right? So that means that yeah, I can basically take a container with me and then bring it to my wallet. And if that container gets moved around, that means the assets inside it get moved around with it as well. So that gives rise to a lot of potentially interesting new gameplay where the assets aren't tied to your personal wallet, but to an asset.
That's interesting. Are there any like projects that you are excited about building on the standard, or is it still very new?
Yeah, there's a company called Future Primitive that is expanding on this standard. And then there's a game called Parallel Colony, which is the second game from the guys doing the Parallel TCG that's really innovating around this concept.
Awesome. Okay, great. All right, so we have around 6 more minutes. So I wanted to go into the last session, which is the future of Web3 gaming. What are the key trends that you believe will significantly impact Web3 gaming in 2024 and beyond?
Yeah, so now there's a lot more quality games and a lot of different attempts at like what tokenomics, asset ownership look like. So I think that we're now in kind of an explosive Cambrian stage where there's a lot of things that you can do to be able to own assets inside of these games. And that enables you to succeed in many different ways. So you can be a farmer or a player. If you have a lot of money, you can be a whale. But now you can, for example, we teach our community a lot of different skills so that they can participate in Web3, even if they don't have a lot of money to start with. And it's not just about play to earn or playing inside the game. Of course, there's always playing and then esports, but we teach essential skills like how to be a content creator, how to be a Discord moderator, how to do copywriting, for example, and be useful and get hired within these teams, how to be part of the community team. We also have a game tester program that teaches people how to do game testing properly. So there's many ways to participate in Web3, and I think that there's actually a lot of money already in Web3. But what it lacks is a lot of people who are willing to contribute their time and skill. And I think people who are willing to contribute their time and skill should be able to participate and get paid in crypto and be part of the Web3 economy.
Yeah, and I think those that have been continuously building throughout the last bear market actually are able to reap a lot of the seeds that they planted back then, not just for builders, but also participants in this ecosystem. So for those users listening, like we are in like this really positive euphoria state. But there are like crypto is cycles, it's super risky. You guys need to manage your risk accordingly. But at the same time, like if you really believe in what you are participating in, which I think Gabby and I really are, like you stick through the thick and thin and you will get rewarded accordingly. Okay, so in terms of like YGG's envision, like in terms of the role of guilds within the future of gaming, like how do you position yourself to win within this space? I think you mentioned earlier, like YGG is not just a guild, it's a protocol layer. Like maybe you can just wrap up with this point as well.
Yeah, so we want to aggregate people together into guilds, give them an identity on chain, and then give them the opportunity to do tasks or quests in different games or other applications where they can earn crypto. So later this year, we're actually releasing a feature called Onchain Guild. So it's a way for people to put their guild identity on chain. So it contains a multi-sig, your guild badge so that anyone can recognize you as part of that guild, and then a member list so that you can see who are the members of that guild and their appropriate ranking. Think of it as the guild system of World of Warcraft put in on-chain, right? And once you have an on-chain identity for your guild, now you can go into any Web3 game and then they can see what guild that you're from. And now you can start doing interesting things like guild versus guild quests, guild-based quests and competitions where the rewards and the identity and the reputation can go not just to the person but to the guild entity, like a sports team or an esports team, right? And then you can do governance to see like who gets those rewards.
Okay, and I guess that then overall unlocks this greater Web3 user-owned internet and even
Yeah,
like company-owned. So that's super exciting.
that's right.
Okay, final question. Can you provide some insights into upcoming projects or initiatives that YGG's plan to undertake to further the vision in Web3 gaming?
Yeah, so currently we're on season 5 of the Guild Advancement Program. There's 4 games that are featured there. Season 6, which probably happens by end of June, will have a lot more games featured. So we're constantly evolving our tech so that we can partner with different games and then kind of combine different questing and reward system. So imagine if you're playing in a game that is featured by YGG and featured by the blockchain, you get rewards not only from the game itself, from the blockchain it's part of, and from YGG as well. So this kind of like positive sum building of like networks is really what Web3 is all about.
Got it. Okay. Well, I think that wraps up today's fireside chat. So thank you, Gabby, for sharing these insights into all of this, the future of gaming and guilds. And how can users, developers find you and YGG?
Sure. So go to twitter.com/yieldguild, or you can go to discord.gg/YGG.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you, SCB 10X and Bloomberg, for hosting this DeFi and Web3 virtual summit and continuously making a positive impact in our industry. For more information on Impossible Finance, you can also check out our website at impossible.finance and or Twitter at impossiblefi, F-I, at the end. I'm Gareth Lai, a contributor at Impossible, and thanks for listening in, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.